So I think at 6:30 we'll get started. So good evening, everyone. Nice to have you all on the session today. We have with us Mr. Vishwanath, Director of Biome Environmental Solutions, founder of Rainwater Club, and who's always been, voice in the city about conservation of water and our go-to person all the time in urban Bangalore context. So today we'll understand from him how water security in urban Bangalore, the current situation is, what is the long-term solutions that we've been putting off, and what are the short-term solutions we can implement at a household level. So welcome, sir. Welcome to all the participants.
Thank you.
Bangalore has an issue of either too much water that causes urban flooding, and we have everybody moving to different places. We saw that a couple of years ago, how bad it got. And this year, we have a drought-like situation where already, even before the peak of summer has set in, we have urban flooding, drought-like situation where we are struggling to get water, potable water for basic use. And the scary numbers of bowels drying up and the lakes looking empty. So this is the situation we are at in 2024 March. So during the 2022 and 23, if you look at the rainfall that the city got, it was actually around 1,455 mm. So 2022 was really above normal monsoon, and then in 2023 it was normal or slightly below normal. It was around 600, 700 mm of rainfall that we received. And but no matter how much water we receive through rainfall, it was always the dependence on Kaveri that has been the main problem for our city, and we've had the over dependence on Kaveri per se. So at present, BWSSB, the Bangalore Water and Supply and Sewerage Board, is treated water to Bangalore is coming at 1470 MLD, and we've had water supply scheme that has been in 4 stages, and on a 4th stage also has phase 1 and phase 2, with a total a capacity of, like I said, 1470 MLD. But one of the issues with this supply was also the losses. So we went from about 45%, 38% to currently 27% loss in supply to the city, and that is one of the crucial problems that on the government and the supply side that we've had to fix. But on the other side, we've had the demand side issues where the number of people settling in the city is increasing, and we've expanded exponentially over the years. And in that regard, if you look at the rainwater harvesting, we have only about 12% of the total 10 lakh plus consumers with water connections. This is a situation we are at, and there is a shortage, and this is not sudden, like I said, and this has been ongoing, and we've had multiple awareness drives. We've had a lot of people who are activists and environmentalists who've been ringing the warning signs and said that we'll have a Cape Town-like situation many years ago. We've been on this conversation. It was always on the back burner, but now today it has come to the forefront. So we are hoping to carry some of these lessons forward. And on that note, I will invite Mr. Vishwanath to please, take us through this conversation in the next 1 hour. And we'll go at it in 4 parts or so. We will first ask from you, sir, to give us the current situation, what is going to happen in the next quarter until the monsoon sets in, and how we're going to brace ourselves, and what is the exact scenario, because there's a lot of, conversations about more that are on borderline of fear-mongering almost. So everybody is very, very worried about it. So please let us know what the current situation is, how do we brace ourselves, and then going forward, we look at a stakeholder level, what is it that we can do in both long and short term, sir. Over to you, sir.
Right. So, Harshita, thanks. You've already given a brief introduction to the current position in the city, but let me just recapitulate what the city is now undergoing, right? Now, this is a city of 14 million or 14.5 million now. We haven't had a census post 2011, so we don't know. We're making a guess as to what the number is. We believe it's 14 million, let us say. Now, for 14 million people, we are pumping in 1470 million liters per day from the Kaveri. If you divide it, it should be 100 liters per capita per day, right? So if everybody had a connection and everybody was getting water daily, it should have been 100 LPCD. Of course, now there are the losses of 27%. If you take it out, yet it would be about 80 liters of water per person, right? Now, are we in a Cape Town-like situation? No, because Cape Town, the reservoir itself was running out. In the case of Bangalore, there are 4 reservoirs on the Kaveri which are going to give us water. There's the Harangi, there's the Hemavati, which can act as a backup, but the main reservoirs are the Kabini and the KRS Dam, the Krishnaraj Sagara Dam. If you look at the today's level of these dams, as in terms of the KSNDMC website, there's 43.5 TMC feet of water there. 43.5 thousand million cubic feet of water. What we will need till the end of June is roughly, in my calculation, 10.8 TMC feet of water, because the water will be released from the dams. There will be some losses on the way. Then it has to reach a point from where we tap into it and pump it into the city. So there is enough and more water for the 1470 MLD, which is being pumped into the city, plus the additional 775 MLD if it starts to come in from May. So there's no Cape Town-like situation. We've been caught in a perfect storm because the Kaveri 5th stage should have been completed about a year or a year and a half back. If it had been completed, today we would not have faced this problem at all. Be that as it may, because it's been postponed because of COVID and other reasons, it's gone on and it's not there. So if Kaveri 5th stage was done and dusted, we wouldn't be here talking at all. That's the reality. The other part of the perfect storm is some of the major lakes like Belandur and Vartur and many other smaller lakes also have been going through a process of desilting. That desilting, which should have been done 2 years back, is still dragging on and is likely to drag on for 2 more years, right? If that desilting had been completed, we would not have been here to talk because a lot of the groundwater situation would have been addressed by the recharge of these lakes. So this perfect storm of a delayed Kaveri 5th phase and delayed completion of desilting of the lake works has caused the problem to us. Is there a problem to those who are connected with the Kaveri pipe network? There are 1.1 million connections roughly, and about 10 people per connection. So it's about 11 million people connected to the Kaveri. Yes, there's a tightening of the belt, there is a lessening of the water, but broadly, it's not a scare story of having completely run out of water. So that water is there, so we could get some portion of it, and we can manage with tough measures like water conservation. But for those who are completely dependent on bore wells or on tankers, there's a crisis, and it's Cape Town for them. Because they have no other alternative sources of water, they have to depend on groundwater and tanker water. The question is, what can we do to make sure that these people are not bereft of water at all? And the tragedy is that some of the demand for these groundwater is from multi-story buildings which are packed together in one place, right? So then you have to get all the water from the tankers to one sump and then pump it up and then manage it at great heights. Plus, for the low-income people and people who are in the construction sector, the challenge is that the price has gone up. Why has the price gone up? 2 reasons. One, the production cost of water itself has gone up for the tanker wala. When he could fill it up in 15 minutes to half an hour, now he takes 1 hour to 2 hours to fill up. So the number of trips that he can do is less. Therefore, the prices are going up. The other is, of course, the price gouging. But the answer to that would have been to increase supply of tankers, not to sort of capture the tankers themselves and then make sure that it's getting distributed. Allow them to continue with perhaps a price cap, but then put in more water from other tankers with the Kaveri water so that the prices would come down and more people would get water. Be that as it may. So what do we do now? This is all said and done. What we do in the long term is we need to focus on lake protection and restoration and making sure that rainwater harvesting is done, that every building and apartment does rainwater harvesting assiduously as per the law so that there is more and more water to be stored or recharged into the aquifer, and that the lakes are protected, the Rajkalways are protected so that they're able to hold on to water and recharge the aquifer. But that's the long term because we have to wait for the rains to do that. What do we do in the short term? Luckily for us, thanks to the NGT, thanks to citizens who have taken the state to court, the quality of treatment is dramatically improving in our wastewater treatment plants. Currently, we have the capacity to treat 1,059 million liters per day or thereabouts. And some of the treatment plants have reached tertiary standards of treatment. I'll give you an example. Jakkur with 15 MLD, 15 million liters per day, you could actually drink from the water which is coming out from the STP, right? That's a quality. Or in Kabunpar, or the 150 MLD plant in V Valley, Vrishbhavati Valley, the water meets BIS 10500 requirements. That's the drinking water standard requirement. Now we're taking that water and putting it back either into a lake which is getting untreated sewage or into the Vrishbhavati. For us, the challenge really is how do we pick this treated wastewater and fill our lakes so that the aquifers start filling and the groundwater condition improves. Plus, there are a lot of small apartments and institutions which are having their own STPs. Many of them are not functioning properly, but some of them are doing an excellent job. Can we tap into the surplus from these STPs and push it into the nearby lakes through a process of a wetland so that the groundwater aquifer rejuvenates? The last thing that we can do is to focus on the construction industry and see what we can do to supply them either treated wastewater from our wastewater treatment plants or to stop them from construction for some time, if that is possible at all, right? So these are the possibilities that we have. The situation is tough, but it's not Cape Town. We can manage it. We will be able to tide over it for 4 months. We need a bit of smart measures. That's the overall situation, Harshita.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for that. It's really helping to set context of what we are going to deal with. In terms of what the short-term goals can be, like one of the most asked question is like, right now, what can we do? And with the stakeholders being the citizens, BBMP and government, because in every other situation, maybe the blame can be more on the government side or administration or whatever. But in this, we are also the consumers. So we also have a big part to play. So we want to know what is it that we can do in the short term to, help us, get over this summer in a less, intense way.
Yeah, so one of the things is those who are lucky to have access to water from the Kaveri or from bore wells should start to use less of it, right? So be very conservative in the water use, because then it will release some water in the reservoirs for it to be piped to areas of stress. The BWSSB has identified 254 pockets where water is really scarce. And so therefore, if those who have access to water don't waste it, don't wash their cars with it, don't fill their swimming pools with it, don't put it on their lawns, then there would be some amount left for it to be pushed to those who don't have it. So one thing to do is to get a culture of conserving water and not wasting water. That's a culture that will stand us in good stead, not only now, but also in future, right? We should avoid using a hose pipe to wash the road and then put rangoli and stuff like that, right? So that should go away. We should get into a slight scarcity mentality. Therefore, we need water efficient fixtures, put aerators in your taps, make sure that your washing machine is fully loaded before you use it. Make sure that you pick your kitchen water, wash water to water your pots and plants. These are the normal things that you need to do. A couple of other things that you could do is to use eco-friendly soaps and detergents, because this makes a lot of difference at the STP level. There's no phosphate there, and therefore it's easier to treat. So you can think of that. So that's at the individual level. Get conservative with water, right? The other thing to do is to share water. Put some water out in a bowl for birds. Make sure that others are also concerned, insects, and everybody else has access to water apart from us human beings. So do that. If your neighbors are struggling, make sure that you share water, right? And report water wastage. If there is a leak that you spot, make sure that you report it. Those are the steps that we can take individually. But make sure also that your rainwater harvesting system is cleaned up, the filter is ready, the wells are ready, or your system is ready, because the summer rains will come. April, May are typical summer rains. And if we are able to get those summer rains and we are able to capture it, it will help us a lot.
Right, sir. So what is it that, maybe as an advocacy, that maybe BBMP, BWSSB, and the state government can help maybe with maybe is a public rainwater harvestment system in the future possible? If you could just touch upon what is it that we could advocate for ourselves with this, the other part of the stakeholders who's are in charge of the supply part of it.
So it's crucial for us that we do rainwater harvesting at various scales, right? From an individual house, apartment, to roads, to flyovers, to the metro itself, to parks, open spaces, everywhere. That has to happen. It has to become what we call a sponge city. But most crucially, we must protect our lakes. Even now, there are construction debris being dumped on Yelemala-Pachetti boundaries. Even now, in many places, there is intrusion and commercial activity that's happening. We need to put pressure on the system again, not only to protect the 210 lakes which are within the BBMP jurisdiction, but most critically those lakes which are just outside the periphery, right? Because that's where the development is now happening. That's where now the high-rises are coming. Gunjur, for example, that there's a lake there on Sarjapura side. These lakes need quick protection, desilting, so that they are be ready to be filled with rainwater and treated wastewater as and when the time comes. Protect your lakes is the single largest mantra that we can drive at all times now.
Right, sir. So if you could, share some of the things when people say, should we declare Bangalore a water-sensitive city? What does that even mean? And if you could share this with us in maybe Kannada, because we can make it bilingual so that everybody can take advantage of the conversation.
ಖಂಡಿತ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೂ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಈಗ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ನೀರನ್ನ ಸಮಗ್ರವಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸಮಗ್ರವಾಗಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ನೀರು ಸಿಗತ್ತೆ? 2245 ದಶಲಕ್ಷ ಲೀಟರ್ ನೀರು ಕಾವೇರಿಯಿಂದ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. 2245 MLD, right? Because we are pumping an additional 20 MLD now. 2245 MLD is a solid number. Most European cities, most other cities in the world are looking at 100 LPCD as the norm for consumption, not the 150 we are looking at in Bangalore. Let us say we get to that 100 LPCD norm and we get 2245 MLD and we're able to reduce the leakages in the system to about 10%, right? So we would have enough water for 20 million people. There would be no shortage of the Kaveri water or for us with that Kaveri water itself. 20 million people can be supported. In addition, we have groundwater, which we need to manage and understand and do well. In ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅಂತರ್ಜಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಲೈಫ್ ಲೈನ್, ನಮಗೆ ಬಹಳ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಅಂತರ್ಜಲ ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಕೆರೆಗಳು ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ನಮ್ಮ ನಗರ ಪ್ರದೇಶ ಮೇಲೆ ಬೀಳ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಮಳೆ ನೀರು 3000 ದಶಲಕ್ಷ ಲೀಟರ್ ನೀರು. 3000 MLD is the equivalent in the 1250 CDP area, 1250 square kilometers. Of that 3000 MLD, 3000 ದಶಲಕ್ಷ ಲೀಟರ್ ನೀರನ್ನ ಅರ್ಧ ಭಾಗನಾರು ನಾವು ಕೆರೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಅಂತರ್ಜಲಕ್ಕೆ ಸೇರಿಸಿದ್ರೆ 1500 ದಶಲಕ್ಷ ಲೀಟರ್ ನೀರು ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. We will get an additional 1500 MLD. 2245 plus 1500. Do the maths. 3745. 3745 million liters, which is available to us, which can support 37.45 million people at 100 LPCD, right? ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಈ 2245 ದಶಲಕ್ಷ ಲೀಟರ್ ನೀರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದಾಜು 2000 ದಶಲಕ್ಷ ಲೀಟರ್ ನೀರು 2000 MLD will be waste water. If we are able to collect it and treat it to high standards, we will have an additional 2000 million liters. So we have enough and more water so that we don't have a crisis. It's a question of planning. ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ನೀರು ಸಾಕಷ್ಟಿದೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸೋದು, ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಗುರಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಕೆರೆಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾಪಾಡಿ, ಅಂತರ್ಜಲನೆಲ್ಲ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನು ರೀಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ತ್ಯಾಜ್ಯ ನೀರನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಲುಷಿತವಾದ ನೀರನ್ನು ಶುದ್ಧೀಕರಣ ಮಾಡಿ, ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ನ ಎಫ್ಲುಯೆಂಟ್ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟಿಗೆ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ನೀರಿನ ಕೊರತೆ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡದೇ ಇದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಕೇಪ್ ಟೌನ್ ಅಂತ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಇನ್ ಬಾಕಿ ತರ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಐ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು ಒನ್ ಅನದರ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಹರ್ಷಿತಾ, ಇವತ್ತಿನ ದಿವಸ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ, ಕಾವೇರಿ 5ನೇ ಹಂತ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಮೇ ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಜೂನ್ ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಥವಾ ಜುಲೈ ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ 3 ವರ್ಷ ನಾವು ವಾಟರ್ ಶಾರ್ಟೇಜ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಈ ತರ ಝೂಮ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ, ಏನು ಮಾತಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಬಹುಶಃ ಫ್ಲಡ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಬಟ್ ನೀರಿನ ಕೊರತೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಇನ್ 3 ವರ್ಷ ಆದ ನಂತರ ಅದು ನೀರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅವಾಗ ತಿರುಗಿ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ನೀರಿನ ಕೊರತೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಗವರ್ನೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೊರತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್ ಕೊರತೆ.
ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್ ಈ ಕಾನ್ವರ್ಸೇಷನ್ ಇವಾಗ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ 3 years ವರ್ಗೂ ಅದೇ ಲೆಸನ್ ನಾವು ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಅಂಡ್ regardless of how much rainfall or groundwater, it is about usage and management is what you are saying, is what I can understand. Because ನಾವು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತೀವಿ, ಹೆಂಗ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಬಟ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ನಮ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಟೈಲ್ ಅದ್ರ ಪ್ರಕಾರನೇ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್. ನಾನು ಇದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಲೇಕ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಚೂರ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಜಕ್ಕೂರ್ ಲೇಕ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಒಬ್ರು ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾನು ಡೇ ಟು ಡೇ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಹತ್ರ ಲೇಕ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಂಗೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಲೇಕ್ ಹತ್ರ ಇದ್ರೂ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ಸಮ್ ಇನ್ಲೀಗಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಆಸ್ ಎನ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗದೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ ಜಕ್ಕೂರ್ ಲೇಕ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಗೇನ್ ಆಸ್ ಆರ್ಡಿನರಿ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ದಟ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡೂ ಟು ಮೇಕ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಬೆಟರ್ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೈಲೈಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ?
ಜಕ್ಕೂರ್ ಕೆರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅನ್ನಪೂರ್ಣ ಕಾಮತ್ ಅಂತ ಒಬ್ರು ಬಹಳ ಲೀಡರ್ಶಿಪ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಮತ್ತೆ ಜಲಪೋಷಣ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಸುಮಾರು ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಏನೇನ್ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇತ್ತು? ಫೆನ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು, ಬಟ್ ಫೆನ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ನ ಒಡೆದಾಕಿದ್ರು. ಅದ್ರ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಡೆಬ್ರಿ, ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಜಲಪೋಷಣ್ ಅವರು ಅದನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ತರ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒಂದು ವಾಟ್ಸ್ಆಪ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋರು, ಅಥವಾ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಲೀಡರ್ಶಿಪ್ಗೆ ಅಥವಾ BBMPಗೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ ಒತ್ತಡ ಹಾಕಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಆ ಡಂಪಿಂಗ್ ನ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನಿಲ್ಸಿದ್ರು. ಈ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, BWSSB ಇದು ಒಂದು 10 ದಶಲಕ್ಷ ಲೀಟರ್ ಪರ್ ಡೇ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಸೂವೇಜ್ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್. ಅದು ಸರಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದನ್ನು ಸರಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು, ಅದು ಸರಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಶುರು ಆಯ್ತು, ಅದು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ. ಜಕ್ಕೂರ್ ಲೇಕಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ TV ರಾಮಚಂದ್ರನ್ ಟೀಮು ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ರೆಡ್ಡಿ ಸಾಹೇಬ್ರು ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒಂದು ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ವೆಟ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ವೆಟ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಗಲ್ ಪಾಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ TV ರಾಮಚಂದ್ರ, ಅದನ್ನ ಕೆರೆಗೆ ಸೇರಿಸಿದ್ರು. ಇದೇನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಅಕಸ್ಮಾತ್ ಅನ್ಟ್ರೀಟೆಡ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಸೂವೇಜ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ವೆಟ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಫಾಸ್ಫೋರಸ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ, ನಂತರ ಕೆರೆಗೆ ತುಂಬುತ್ತೆ ನೀರು. ನೀರಿನ ಗುಣಮಟ್ಟ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಜಕ್ಕೂರಲ್ಲಿ, ಈಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇದೆ, ಸೂವೇಜ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಜನಗಳ ಸಹಭಾಗಿತ್ವದಿಂದ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳ ಸಹಭಾಗಿತ್ವದಿಂದ ಆ ಕೆರೆನ ಕಾಪಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಈಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರಿದೆ, ಪಕ್ಷಿಗಳಿವೆ ಎಲ್ಲ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೀನು ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಅಂತರ್ಜಲದ ಮಟ್ಟ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಬಿದ್ದಿದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ಯಾಂಕರ್ ನೀರು ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ. ಆ ತರ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಕೆರೆಗೆ, ಸಾರಕ್ಕಿ ಕೆರೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ಸ್ ಗೇಮ್ ಭಟ್ರು ಸಾಹೇಬ್ರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಸುಮಾರು ಜನ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಸೇರಿ ಆ ಕೆರೆನ ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು. ಈಗ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು 2 MLD ಅಥವಾ 3 MLD 3 ದಶಲಕ್ಷ ಲೀಟರ್ ನೀರಿನ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಇಂದ ನೀರು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆ ನೀರು ತುಂಬಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ. ಈ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬೊಮ್ಮಸಂದ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಹತ್ರನೂ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಏನು, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬೊಮ್ಮಸಂದ್ರ ಕೆರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರು ತುಂಬಿದ್ರಿಂದ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಬೋರ್ವೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನೀರಿದೆ, ಟ್ಯಾಂಕರ್ಗಳಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಬೇಗ ನೀರು ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಲೆ, ಟ್ಯಾಂಕರ್ ಬೆಲೆ 500 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಮಾತ್ರ, 6,500 ಲೀಟರ್ಗೆ. ಕೆರೆಗಳು ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅಂತರ್ಜಲ ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಂಗೆ, ಅಂತರ್ಜಲ ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಬೋರಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಟ್ಯಾಂಕರ್ ಬೆಲೆನೂ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಈ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಕೋನದಿಂದ ನಾವು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂದೇ ನಿಮಿಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಒಂದು ಕೆರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕೆರೆಗೆ ಹರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇದು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಕೆರೆಗಳ ಸ್ವಭಾವ. 3 ವ್ಯಾಲಿ ಇದೆ, ನಾವು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ವೃಷಭಾವತಿ ವ್ಯಾಲಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಒಂದು ಕೋರಮಂಗಲ ಚಲ್ಲಘಟ್ಟ ವ್ಯಾಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೆಬ್ಬಾಳ್ ವ್ಯಾಲಿ. ಈ ವ್ಯಾಲಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಕೆರೆ ಇದೆಯೋ ಒಂದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಕನೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್. ಈಗ ಯಲಹಂಕದಿಂದ ಕೆರೆ ಹರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದು ಜಕ್ಕೂರಿಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಜಕ್ಕೂರ್ ಕೋಡಿ ಹೋದಾಗ ಕೋಡಿ ಕಾಲುವೆ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ರಾಚೇನಹಳ್ಳಿ ಕೆರೆಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ರಾಚೇನಹಳ್ಳಿಯಿಂದ ಹೆಬ್ಬಾಳ್ ಕೆರೆಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಕೆರೆನೂ ಇನ್ನು ಒಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಟರ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್. ಆ ಇಂಟರ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ನೆಸ್ ಇಂದ ನಾವು ಫ್ಲಡ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಮತ್ತೆ ರೀಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಕೂಡ ಆ ಕಾಲುವೆ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ.
ರೈಟ್ ಸರ್. ಸೊ ಆನ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ನೋಟ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನೀವು ಕ್ಯಾಸ್ಕೇಡಿಂಗ್ ಹೇಗೆ ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಲೇಕ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾಸ್ಕೇಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ. ದಟ್ ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಟು ಮೈ ವೆರಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್. ಫ್ಲಡ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಡ್ರಾಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಮ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಡ್ರೈನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಯಾವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ರಾಜಕಾಲುವೆ ಅದ್ರ ಹೇಗೆ ಅದು ಒಂದು ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ವೇನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅನ್ ಆರ್ಟ್ರಿ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೋ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಆರ್ ಸಿಟೀಸ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ what is it that we can do to keep it clean, first of all at a household level, to ensure that what goes out from our own houses are the amount of debris in the tertiary and all of that is less, and then it becomes larger issue with encroachment and all of that. Encroachment adu conversation berene hogutte, but ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಇದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಮ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಡ್ರೈನ್ಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಇರೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ಏನಾದ್ರು ಡೆಬ್ರಿ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಗೆ, ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಎನಿ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ ಇನ್ ವಿಚ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹೌ ಡು ವಿ ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ ಅಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಅಥಾರಿಟೀಸ್ ಆಸ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಕ್ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ.
ಈಗ ರಾಜಕಾಲುವೆಗಳನ್ನ ಅನ್ಫಾರ್ಚುನೇಟ್ಲಿ ಕಾಂಕ್ರಿಟೈಸೇಷನ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಕಾಂಕ್ರೀಟ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನ ಡ್ರೈನ್ ತರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ತ್ಯಾಜ್ಯ ನೀರು ಹರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. Sewage is flowing in it, so therefore you have to concretize it, and if there is huge volume of flood water, only a concrete drain can handle the Rajkalve water. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಡೆಬ್ರಿ, ಸಾಲಿಡ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಡಂಪಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಬಹುಶಃ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ಹೈಲೈಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬಂಬಾರ್ಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು, ಇದನ್ನ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾಡಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಷಿಯನ್ಸ್, MLAಗಳಾಗ್ಲಿ, ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟರ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟರ್ಗಳಾಗ್ಲಿ, ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಒತ್ತಡ ತಂದು ಇದನ್ನ ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ನಾವು ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್. We must insist that the institution put out phone numbers of people responsible for Raj Kalve so that we are able to get in touch with them. It's not easy to do that. So many of these institutional reforms is what citizens should look for. Now, for example, borewell drilling has been regulated. But if I want to legally drill a borewell, how do I do it? ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಆ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ನನಗೆ ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಆ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ನ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ನಾವು ಕಚರ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ರಾಜಕಾಲುವೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ನನ್ನ ಫೋಟೋ ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ತಡೀತಾರೆ ನನ್ನನ್ನು, ಅದೊಂದು ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಬಟ್ ವಿ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ಕೀಪ್ ಅವರ್ ಅಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಅಥಾರಿಟೀಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕೀಪ್ ಬೊಂಬಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ದೆಮ್ ವಿತ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಫೇಸಿಂಗ್.
Right, sir. So just for our audience, so ನಾವು question and answers last few minutes ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ. Please ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದ್ರೆ please put it on the question and answer chat, so we will take it up in the end. Sir, ಇದು sewage treatment, ಇದು ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದನ್ನ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಇದು ಹೇಗೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಒಂದು ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ತರ ತಗೋಬರಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತಾ? ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್, ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಸ್ ಸಮ್ extra effort with the authorities and the maybe the larger complexes which have the large STP. So if you can let us know how is it that any connection can be made, because this is that excess water that goes away to the drains. So if you could just highlight that.
So there are 2 or 3 things. One is that the BWSSB STPs themselves, they have about 34 STPs. They are building an additional 25. There will be 59 STPs of the BWSSB. Luckily, because of the nature of the watershed, they're all decentralized. ಈ 59 STPಗಳು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿದೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಸಪ್ಲೈನೂ ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನ ಕೆರೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಲೀಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಕೋಲಾರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕಬಳ್ಳಾಪುರ್ಗಾಗ್ಲೇ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅಥವಾ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನ ಟರ್ಷರಿ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಟ್ಯಾಂಕರ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಅಥವಾ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಪೈಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೋದು. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಯಲಹಂಕದಿಂದ ಪೈಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಏರ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ITC ತಗೋತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, BL ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿ ತಗೋತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಟ್ರೀಟೆಡ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ ತಗೋತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ತರ ಪೈಪ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗಮನ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಟ್ಯಾಂಕರ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಲೋಕಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಎಲ್ಲೇ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಇದೆಯೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಎರಡನೇ ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ STPs ಇಸ್ ವಿತ್ ದ BBMP. 21 ಕೆರೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ BBMP itself is putting up small STPs, right? They are meant specifically to recharge the lake and to make up for evaporation losses and percolation losses. Are they working well? Should they be monitored so that they do a good job? Is a second consideration. Then come the private STPs, which has been mandated. 20 ಹೆಚ್ಚು flat ಇದ್ದ ಅಂದ್ರೆ you have to have an STP. In many of them, there's surplus water available, which are doing a good job. There is surplus water available. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಟಾಯ್ಲೆಟ್ ಫ್ಲಶಿಂಗು ಮತ್ತೆ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ಕೇಪಿಂಗ್ ಬಳಸೋದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಹಾ ನೀರು, ಸುಮಾರು ಒಂದು 60% ನೀರು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ವೆಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ, ನಮ್ಮ BAF ಆಗಲಿ, ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ತರ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಟ್ಯಾಂಕರ್ ವಾಲಾ ಅಂತ ಇವರೆಲ್ಲ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ತರ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಬೋಸಾನ್ ವೈಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ವಿಕಾಸ್ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮವಾರ್ ಅವರು ದೇ treat it further to much higher standards and make sure that it is sold to industries locally. So creating a market for that, supplying it to construction is one good form. Second way, perhaps that is possible, is to pick that and make sure that it comes to one point in a lake, you monitor the quality and you fill the lake with it, provided it meets NGT standards, the standard set by CPCB for release into lake water. Adan kuda ನಾವು ಎರಡನೇದು ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಇದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕೋಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು KSPCB ಮತ್ತೆ BBMP ಇಬ್ಬರು ಜಂಟಿಯಾಗಿ ಬಂದಾಗ ಇದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. BWSSBನೂ ಕೂಡ ಸೇರ್ಕೋಬಹುದು, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಪೈಪ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ BWSSBದು ಒಂದು ಪಾತ್ರ ಇದೆ. ಇಫ್ ದೀಸ್ 3 institutions are able to get together and devise a waste water policy for us, for our city, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಗೋಲ್ಸ್ ವಿತ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ ರೀಯೂಸ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ನಾವು ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಗಮನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, ರೀಯೂಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಗಮನ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ STPs, ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ STPs together, how will they work ಅನ್ನೋದು ಒಂದು ಫ್ರೇಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು with consultation with a lot of people. It will be of great use to the city.
Yes, sir.
Madhuri is asking a question. Maybe I should answer that.
Yes, sir. If you want to take it up now.
So Madhuri ಅವ್ರು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು, when should we worry about the quality of water for drinking purpose? Madhuri, the caveat is you should think about groundwater as non-potable water in the beginning. send it to a lab, check it for BIS 10500. If it meets the norms, you can use it for drinking. But what I find in many places is that if you're able to revive the shallow aquifer, that water requires basic treatment for it to be drunk. Deep aquifer hodaga, 400, 500, 600 ಅಡಿಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ, the salinity increases and it becomes difficult for you unless you have an RO plant. With shallow aquifers, it's possible to use it with basic UV filtration or even a candle filtration. But check the quality in a lab. That's the way to go.
Madhuri, so I hope that answers your question. ಬೇರೆ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಲೇಕ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೇ ಇದೆ ಸರ್ ಇವಾಗ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್.
The BBMP lake streams are completely empowered. You know the political reality, anonymous attendee, ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು. They are not completely empowered. Political forces always have a dominance over issues, but that can only be resisted by citizen power and judicial power to support you. And if citizens get active and consolidate themselves, then it's possible to take on even the local mafia that operates around it. And that's the only way that we can do it. Organize, get together more people and work with it.
Right. On that note, I think Usha has also asked a question about what are the citizen forums existing already we can join if there's.
So almost every lake has its own lake group, right? I've seen in Bangalore that citizens are capable of coming together. Actually, some lakes have more than one group. So Usha, the choice is yours. It depends on the lake that there are. There's also a broader network of group called the Friends of Lakes. Perhaps you can join them because Friends of Lakes is a larger network. Ram Prasad is there and many, Madhuri Subbarao is there. A lot of people are there. They will put you in touch either with a local lake group or you can assist them in working with other groups. But at the worst case, you have to form your own group if your lake doesn't have one. And what you will find is that very soon 5 to 10 people will quickly join you and then you can start to work with it.
Right. So I think we can take some of these questions in a few minutes because we'll talk about rainwater harvesting, especially at an individual household level, sir. Because when the 40-60 house ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಚಿಕ್ಕದಿರೋದು, we can always find ways in which we can store rainwater. And you are the expert. You've led us by example and how independent you are of the other rest of the connection. So ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅನುಭವದಲ್ಲಿ rainwater harvesting ಹೇಗೆ at an individual level ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಗಿಂತ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಕ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್. ನಮ್ಗೆ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಅಥವಾ ಹೈಯರ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಯೋರ್ ಥಾಟ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ದಟ್?
I'm always amazed that it's such a simple thing to do and people don't do it. ಯಾಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಲಕಿಲಿ ಫಾರ್ ಅಸ್ the filters for rainwater harvesting are improving. Farmland ಅನ್ನೋದು ಒಂದು ಕಂಪನಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ. ನೀರೇನ್ ಅಂತ ಫಿಲ್ಟರ್ ಇದೆ. ಸುಮಾರು ಫಿಲ್ಟರ್ಗಳು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ which do a very good job of cleaning up the rooftop rainwater. All it requires is for the rooftop to be as clean as possible. Then you filter it. ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ BWSB ಸಂಪ್ಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಕೋಬಹುದು ನಾವು ನೀರನ್ನ. ಅಕಸ್ಮಾತ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಬೋರ್ವೆಲ್ ಇದ್ದ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬೋರ್ವೆಲ್ ಸುತ್ತ ರೀಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಬಾವಿ ಇದ್ದ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬಾವಿಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. So it's a very easy step to do. Just today, I got a call from a gentleman, Bal Subramaniam. He's 87 or 86. Our papa phone ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅವ್ರು rainwater harvesting ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರ ಬಾವಿ ನೀರೀಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಬೇಸಿಗೆ ಕಾಲ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ರೂ 28 ಅಡಿ ನೀರಿದೆ ಬಾವಿಲಿ. And he's dependent completely on the well. And now he's connected to the rain and he's connected to the groundwater. ಅವ್ರು worry ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಓ ನೀರ್ ನನ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ ಖಾಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ ಅಂತ. Once you start using rainwater harvesting systems, you realize the scarcity value of water. ಎಷ್ಟು ನೀರು ಸಿಗತ್ತೆ ನಮಗೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಸಿಗತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು. ಅದರ ಜೊತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ಕೂಡ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಶೋರ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಕವರ್ ದ ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಹೌಸ್. ನೀವು ಆಗ್ಲೇ ಅಂಕಿಅಂಶ ಕೊಟ್ರಿ. ಒಂದು 60-40 ಸೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಇದ್ರೆ 2000 ಚದರ ಅಡಿ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್, 2000 ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ ಫೀಟ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅಂದಾಜು 2 ಲಕ್ಷ ಲೀಟರ್ ನೀರು ಸಿಗತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ. ಚಾವಡಿ ಮೇಲೆ 2 ಲಕ್ಷ ಲೀಟರ್ ನೀರು. ಆ 2 ಲಕ್ಷ ಲೀಟರ್ ನೀರನ್ನ ನಾವು ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅಥವಾ ಭೂಮಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹಿಂಗ್ಸಿದ್ರೆ ಸುಮಾರು ಫ್ಲಡಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆಕ್ವಿಫರ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಕೊಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಸು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ಲಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಿಟಿಲಿ ಒಂದು ರೈನ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಹಾರ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಥೀಮ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ, ಜಯನಗರ 5ನೇ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಸರ್ ಎಂ ವಿಶ್ವೇಶ್ವರಯ್ಯ ರೈನ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಹಾರ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಥೀಮ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು BWSSB ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಒಂದು ವಿಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸುಮಾರು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ತಗೊಂಡು ಪ್ಲಂಬರ್ಸು ರೈನ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಹಾರ್ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ ಜೊತೆ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೋಬಹುದು ನಾವು.
Thank you for that, sir. So at a ward level, do you think collectively can anything be done?
It is ideal that we should have a ward committee. Unfortunately, we have not had a local corporation election or a ward committee since a long, long life. Water is a ward level problem. If we are drawing up ward level water management plans, ನಮ್ಮ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ BWSSB, ಎಷ್ಟು ಮನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಸ್ಯಾನಿಟೇಷನ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ, and it should become 100% connection. That should be discussed at a ward committee level, and you must get 100% connection for BWSSB water and sanitation supply. Nam ward alli ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಫ್ಲಡಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆರೆಗಳು ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ, ಆ ಕೆರೆಗಳ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಏನಿದೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ಡ್ ಅಟ್ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ. ದ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಟಲ್ ವಿತ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರಟೈಸೇಷನ್ of people's participation in decision making, people's participation at a local level where they feel empowered to be able to change what they are facing at their local level. It's possible. The BWSSB can report to the Metropolitan Planning Committee, and the BWSSB local engineers can report to the ward committee. And the ward committee should be the place for a water management plan. That is my ideal world.
Yes, sir. I think that's what we should hope for once we do have a council in place. There are quite a few questions, so I will just pause on the other part of it just to take some of these questions because they're also very pertinent to the line of discussion we've had. Ishwarappa sir ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, BWSSB engineer leakage ಬಗ್ಗೆ action ಬೇಗ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ, ಮತ್ತೆ another thing is that leakage, pipe leakage ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವಾಗ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಇವಾಗ 27% ಬಂದಿದೆ. Your thoughts on that, sir?
So leakage is not an easy issue to address, right? There must be a process of reporting leakages, and then there is a specialized methodology by which leakage can be addressed, because many of the pipes are pressurized pipes. Rising main anta antivi athwa gravity fed main alli they are all under tremendous pressure, 10 meters residual head atara pressure irutte. So sometimes it's not easy to fix a leak quickly. So we must have patience and we must pressurize the system to make sure that the leakage is fixed. The BWSSB has been doing an extraordinary job in leak reduction. It's one of the best performing water institutions in the country. Yake antini. This is the only city which has every connection meter. BWSSB connection has a meter. In yav city 1.1 million meters illa. ಪ್ರತಿ ತಿಂಗಳು ಹೋಗಿ ರೀಡಿಂಗ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಮೀಟರಿಂಗ್ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅಂಡ್ ಲೀಕ್ ರಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಕಮ್ ಡೌನ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ 52% to 27%. And there is also steps to take it down to 18%. So it's a tough job, and it's not an easy job, and sometimes it breaks our heart to see water flowing through pressurized pipes, but we have to have the talme, the patience to make sure that we report it and make sure that they correct it.
Right, sir. Vinod Kartavya ಅವರು ಕೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, can we rejuvenate Vrishabhavati river and interlink the existing lakes?
ಖಂಡಿತ ಮಾಡ್ಲೇಬೇಕು. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಅಲ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ ಗುರಿ. ವೃಷಭಾವತಿಲಿ ನಾವು ಸ್ನಾನ ಮಾಡೋ ತರ ರೀತಿ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಈಜಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಗೆ ತರಬೇಕು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಇಸ್ ಟು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಅವರ್ ಸೂರೇಜ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್. ಮೇಕ್ ಶೋರ್ ದಟ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಡ್ರಾಪ್ ಆಫ್ sewage generated goes to the sewage treatment plant. One of the most underfunded parts of our system is sewage network. STP ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. We have excellent STPs now, and we have excess capacity of STPs. We don't have sewage reaching those STPs. If you are able to get the network well and get them into the STPs, then the Vrishabhavati will only flow with rainwater. And if we are then able to stop construction debris and solid waste management, that would be great. I think any government which should set itself a 5-year target and say that we'll clean up the Vrishabhavati.
Yes, sir. So Muralidhar Rao, how many honeysuckers are licensed by BWSSB, and where they supposed to discharge the sewage where they collect?
So Murali, there's a challenge there. The BWSSB allows certain of its STPs to be able to receive these honeysuckers, but they have honeysuckers are these vacuum sucking trucks which empty pit toilets and septic tanks for you, Harshita. That's called a honeysucker. Yellow ಹಳದಿ ಬಣ್ಣದ್ದು ಟ್ಯಾಂಕರ್ಗಳು ಓಡಾಡುತ್ತವೆ, ಮ್ಯಾನುವಲ್ ಇಂದ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸೆಪ್ಟಿಕ್ ಟ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಇಂದ ತಗೊಳುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅದು. So only certain number of STPs have been identified where the honeysuckers can unload. Yes, you are absolutely right. We need to make sure that all our STPs are opened up and that all the honeysuckers are encouraged to go to the STPs. You should not levy a fee as much as encourage them to come there so that the city gets rid of pollution, right? And we must design our STPs to as what is called co-treatment facilities, including sludge and STPs. We haven't done it so far, but it's not very difficult to do it, and we should do it, and we should focus on it.
Right. Someone, I don't know their name, but can STP water be used to recharge our borewells? I think you've spoken to us about it, but
Not at a private level, right? You must look at it from an indirect level. You must meet, in my opinion, you should get the STP treated water to drinking water standards before you start to put it directly into a borewell. And it's not permitted legally. What one suggests is put it into a lake where it's permitted to do so. Let the earth be the filter. Let that be an indirect method of recharging aquifers. That's the best method. What we found is when the earth filters the water, it removes a lot of total suspended solids and a lot of other components, which then clears the water much more for it to be treated easier.
I think Harita has asked us if STP recycling plant, which produces excess water every rainy season, can we redirect it to the water recharging wells on our campus? I think we've just...
So don't put it directly into the wells. Create wetlands, small water bodies and pools, which are wetland plants, and recharge the wetlands. Let the wetlands then infiltrate it into the wells, and then you pick up the well water, you'll find it to be much clearer. Look at indirect methods, as I pointed out, and create wetland-based systems of remediation before you allow it to go into the ground.
I think some of the things we have to let the earth do its job also. So in this case, it's that. So, Karthik, question is there, the BWSSB water supplied is potable, or should it be tested for quality?
Till the moment it arrives in your sump tank, it is potable. What happens after when it's stocked for 2-3 days and once it goes to your overhead tank is a question that you have to answer. You can always pick it up. Unfortunately, we don't have 24/7 supply. So what happens, you can get Tuesdays and Fridays water comes. And once the first flush of water is coming, that may have a chance of being contaminated, Best thing is to pick a sample, get it checked in a lab for BIS 10500 and assure yourself.
Okay. Sampath Ramanujam has asked about with good STP, we need stringent implementation of rainwater harvesting in high-rise buildings and common utility buildings. So do you have any, highlights for us to tell us the extent of what's being done and what is the scope for improvement on that front? So STP implement, but rainwater.
Correct. So see, here's the thing. No, there are two ways of doing a particular policy and bylaw and carrying it forward. One is the democratic way, when you make a law and ask citizens to participate in it because it is good for you. Do it because it's good for you. Follow traffic discipline because it's good for you. Now, the second way is to put the danda. Like I keep saying, when Madam Jayalalitha was Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, she said, if you don't do rainwater harvesting, I'll cut off your electricity supply. That's one way of doing it. What we have done in Bangalore is we say, hey, we will increase your water bill by 25%. If you don't do it in 6 months, we'll increase it by 50%. Many people say, okay, increase it by 50%, I won't do. Now it's a decision, we as a mature society, do we want the danda on us all the time, or do we think that we should participate in the solution-seeking space? That's the choice is ours. I am more the democratic guy, so I leave it at that.
Right. I think Sampath himself has added another comment that they've implemented 50% tax discount for rainwater harvesting that has worked. That is at the Gram Panchayat level, but at the BBMP level, then it's something else.
So, Sampath so should you be rewarded for good behavior, which you should do as a citizen, or not, is a question that you have to answer. We can take a call on that. Yallathakku subsidy beka. Should everything be incentivized and subsidized? So that's a question that we have to ask ourselves. If it benefits us, why not get it done at our own cost?
Right. Ishwarappa sir has asked if you have any update on the Tippagondanahalli dam status.
So the Tippagondanahalli dam is being built to receive the waters from Yethinhole. Yethinhole waters are to come to Hesarghatta, just below Hesarghatta, get to Tippagondanahalli, and 135 million liters per day is to come from the dam. So it requires both things to happen. Yethinhole to be completed. The Tippagondanahalli part of it is more or less ready. There's a water treatment plant and it can send it. There's a challenge there that there's some amount of polluted water coming from the Peenya stream. How do you bifurcate that, make sure that it doesn't get into the reservoir? It's a challenge, but it's going on.
Right.
And by the way, I'm not a government official. I'm just somebody who knows a lot about government things, but I'm not responsible for...
We understand. So you're not responding on behalf of the government. Tanvi has asked if you can please put some light on can planting trees play a crucial role in withholding groundwater?
So we don't even have to worry about groundwater and planting trees. Trees should exist for their own reason. Adana now instrumental ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು tree ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ನೀರು recharge ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಆ ಗಮನದಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಲೇಬಾರದು. We should look at trees as something that we enjoy, that it should be part of nature and we should do it. If by chance it recharges the groundwater, so be it. What happens with a growing tree is a growing tree needs a lot of water and a tree evapotranspires a lot of water. So to imagine a tree as generating water is perhaps not good. But let's not get into this argument of what other living beings should do. We should plant as many trees as possible of the local variety as much as possible all across Bangalore, period. Don't worry about whether it recharges the ground or not.
Okay, I think Madhuri has another question on CPCB has guided municipal corporation to recharge lakes and rivers using reclaimed sewage water. Who needs to recheck the quality of treated water before letting it into the lakes or rivers?
So it's the job of the Pollution Control Board to be regulating it. They should monitor it. It's the job of the BWSSB. The BWSSB checks the wastewater twice a day. It checks it for the parameters, both input and output, and makes sure that it's checked. And then it is rechecked by the Pollution Control Board. There's also a law which says that all these parameters should be on display on a website. Now, if you go to the KSPCB website, you should be able to see all the BWSSB sewage treatment plants and the quality of the treatment that's being offered. We need to instrumentalize more, bring it more into public domain, make sure that everybody is aware of the quality of treatment and how it's being released. I would personally like these sewage treatment plants to be opened up to the public. You know, it's not a nuclear facility or a bank that you have to fear. It should be a place where everybody should go and learn where the sewage ends up. What is the form of treatment? Treatment ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ನೀರು ಆಚೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಗುಣಮಟ್ಟ ಏನಿದೆ, ಆ ಸ್ಲಜ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ಸ್ಲಜ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. It should be a learning center for how a city's waste is managed. If you do that and open it up and put these LED boards at the gate, quality of treatment. No, it should be flashing like air quality treatment. If we do that, it'll be the better for us as a city. We'll be more water literate, waste literate.
Right, sir. Muralidhara or RTI query ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದರೆ again, you're not the government, but I don't know. I didn't understand the question, I think, on that one. I don't know what he's expecting, but anyway, moving on. Government told they will drill thousands of borewells in Bangalore for drinking water. Do you think our Bangalore will withstand this decision? Somebody anonymous has asked that question.
See, Iga, when at a crisis time, some decisions are taken, it's best not to be very critical about it. But the thing is this, if you're going to drill borewells when groundwater tables are falling, the chances are that you're not going to get water. You're going to get a bill for borewell drilling, but you're not going to get water. If you get water, other borewells around you will dry up. So net benefit to society is not going to be there. So it's not competitive drilling, but cooperative filling that is the need of the hour. We need to fill our aquifers, not put straws and draw more from it. That's my opinion. But in certain pockets, it may be really useful. Where there is water and where there's a crying need for it, then those borewells will be useful. But generically, it may not be useful everywhere.
I think Prashant has asked two-part question. One is it good to get BBMP to push big builders to install SWT plants as to use the treated water for non-consumable purpose? And also the 3 existing board level committees to take action on groundwater recharge measures.
So one of the things that we are moving towards are dual plumbing lines in every flat and every apartment. And even now in Nadaprabhu Kempegowda layout, which is being developed, there are 2 pipes, 1 pipe for drinking water, 1 pipe for non-potable water, right? So that should become the norm in almost every building. We should do that as much as it is a norm to take sewage treatment, to sewage out and treat it, right? And then you can put it in those dual plumbing lines. These are essential measures for the future. This is the way we have to go ahead.
I think Harish KG has asked, can we we not bring a strong rule to stop cement work because of new apartments and other kind of building? Our city load has been increased.
So it's a question of whether brand Bengaluru should grow or we should stop construction activities, which provides employment to thousands of people. But if a sustainable water management plan is drawn, where these buildings are assured of water before they begin to be constructed, or they plan for how the water is going to come to them, only then should a city progress. It should not be what we call in Kannada, adda diddiya katbardu. ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥಿತವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನೀರು ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಫುಲ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಇದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾತ್ರ ಕಟ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Now we are playing catch up all the time. The BWSSB has to only respond to what has been already built. Then it becomes very difficult to lay pipelines in small roads and everything of that sort, right? There's no master plan to guide us. So there has to be more of a synergy between construction as well as water supply.
Right, so I think the last couple of questions and then we can just take your final comments. We have 10 more minutes on this conversation. So Sandhya Prakash says, I'm usually not in favor of cloud seeding. Do you recommend some cloud seeding? Rains haven't, in the last 3 months, we haven't had any rains is her question.
Now, first, we must have the clouds, no, Sandhya, for the clouds to be seeded. Like even clouds are missing now. Cloud seeding is iffy from an environmental perspective. Where do we want the clouds to be seeded? Should it be seeded in the Kaveri Basin so that our dams are full so that we get water in Bangalore? Or should they be seeded above Bangalore so that it rains in Bangalore and our lakes are full? All these are questions to be asked. Personally, I don't think, I am looked at it scientifically. The evidence is iffy whether cloud seeding actually works and how effectively it works. I think if we have done enough tampering with nature, we should learn to live with nature rather than to start to fix nature at every level.
And I think Karthik has asked, as per BWSSB rule, should we recharge the borewell by separately building a sump that sinks water in the ground, or should we fix a filter and use the water?
We can do both. We can either store rainwater and recharge the borewell, but think of it. What is the point in getting water which is above the ground, putting it 400 or 600 feet in below the ground, and then again using energy to pump it up? Try to hold water as high at level as possible, use it as much as possible. Excess water, allow it to recharge into the ground. But the recharge also, try to recharge into the shallow aquifer, not the deep aquifer. If the shallow aquifer itself is saturated, then go to the deep aquifer. Try to hold water as high as possible.
Right, sir. I think Sampath had one more comment on where can citizens report this lake encroachment? How do they go about it?
$1 million question. No, it's supposed to be reported to the BBMP. There's a lakes division of BBMP. There's also the KTCDA. You have to report to both KTCDA and BBMP.
So I think Vedamala has also asked pipe leakage ಎಷ್ಟು ದಿನ ಆದ್ರೂ ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲ ರೋಡ್ ಮತ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಸಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮಳೆ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ನೀರೆಲ್ಲ ಭೂಮಿನೂ ಎಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ. ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ ಏನು ಅಂತ ತಿಳಿಸಿ.
ಏನ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ, ಇದು ನಗರೀಕರಣ ಅಂತಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆ ಕಾಂಕ್ರೀಟು ಸಿಮೆಂಟು, ಭೂಮಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹಿಂಗಕ್ಕೆ ಜಾಗನೇ ಬಿಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಹಬ್ಬಬ್ಬ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ರಸ್ತೆಗಳು ಮಾಡಿ ಅದ್ರ ಪಕ್ಕ ಚರಂಡಿ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಚರಂಡಿಲಿ ಇಂಗು ಬಾವಿಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. 100 ಮೀಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೀಚಾರ್ಜ್ ವೆಲ್ಗಳು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ರನ್ ಆಫ್, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ವೈಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಂಗ್ ರೋಡ್ಸ್, ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಗೋ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್. Concrete, but then make sure that runoff from the concrete is put into the ground, put into the aquifer. ಆ ತರ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಡಿಸೈನ್ಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಈಗೇನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಆ ಮೋರಿಲ್ ಕೂಡ ಕೊಳಚೆ ನೀರು ಹರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. So if you are doing recharge, you can't recharge it unless you separate the sewage out from the storm drain. It's not possible to just recharge rainwater. So if we do both and then design well, ಆ ತರ ನೋಡಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಗಮನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಬಟ್ ಕಾಂಕ್ರೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೇದು.
Right, sir. I just wanted to, in terms of rainwater harvesting, hosa building permissions, it's mandatory now. But what about the older ones in terms of retrofitting? So is there anything that we can do for older
Yes.
that?
So there's the law with the BWSSB is that even older buildings 60-40 and above have to do rainwater harvesting if they're taking water from the BWSSB. It's only the old buildings which are less than 60-40 which don't have to do it. But because it's a socio-economic decision. So, and it's a voluntary decision. If a small older building wants to do rainwater harvesting, nobody prevents them. They should do it. So it should be done as a good citizen's cause.
And what about groundwater recharge wells, sir? If you can just touch upon that one, because we've had a lot of conversations about using government schools because they have a big area. They can actually be used to put, groundwater recharge wells and all of that. If you can just shed some light on it.
ಖಂಡಿತ ನಾವು ಈಗ ತುಮಕೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಇತ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಸೊನಪ್ನಹಳ್ಳಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಬಯೋಮ್ ಅಂತ ಚಿಕ್ಕದಾಗಿ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಜೊತೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ ಛಾವಣಿ ನೀರನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ತಗೊಂಡು ಸೋಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಫಿಲ್ಟರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಂಕಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬಾವಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಅ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಡಿವೈಸ್ ಟು ರೀಚಾರ್ಜ್ ರೈನ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಬಟ್ ಅ ಫ್ಯಾಂಟಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಡಿವೈಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್. ತುಮಕೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಬಂತು ಈಗ ತಾನೇ ಒಂದು ವಾರದಿಂದ ಸಿಟಿ ಲೈನ್ ಡಿಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಮ್. ಮಕ್ಕಳೆಲ್ಲ ಬಾವಿ ನೀರನ್ನ ಸೇದಿ ಬಿಸಿ ಊಟ ಪಾತ್ರೆ ತೊಳೆದು ಅದನ್ನ ಆ ನೀರನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಪಟ್ಟು ಆ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಕಲ್ತರು ಅವರು. ಮಳೆ ನೀರು ಏನು, ಅಂತರ್ಜಲ ಏನು, ಬಾವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಆ ನೀರಿನ ಗುಣಮಟ್ಟ ಏನು ಅನ್ನೋದು. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ವಂಡರ್ಫುಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಟೂಲ್ and it's a wonderful tool to place in government schools itself. And I'll just give you one final example. Sonnappanhalli anta ಒಂದು ಶಾಲೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. The headmaster is a wonderful person. ಆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಇದನ್ನ ರೈನ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಹಾರ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬಾವಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು they shared their experience with the government school in Uganda on the border with Sudan. Both these children learned about the water difficulties in their own place and shared what could be done to sort it out. So it's a fantastic tool to do, and it should be done in all the government schools, but it should be done with great care so that it's maintained for a long time.
Right, sir. I think I'll just take one last question from, again, Madhuri. How does one check the age of water as a layman?
Why do we want to check the age of water, Madhuri? It's a very difficult thing. If there's any carbon element in it, then you can do a carbon dating of it. But otherwise, to check the age of water is a very, very, I don't know. No, it's very difficult for an Indian male to say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer for that.
Okay, sir. So just wanted to take this time to thank you for your time and giving us an entire picture of what's happening with regards to water in Bangalore. Dhanyawada, sir. But just to end on a note where we've spent the last 1 hour listening to you, what are the 5 things I can do today after this session that will help, in our own ways to start advocacy reporting adella nadiyate. Now all the people who have joined today are active citizens, so of course they will take up all the resources that you've shared with us to report and advocate. But what are the 5 things maybe, or any number of things that we can do today immediately going back home?
I don't have to tell all the folks, Madhuri, Muralidhar Rao, Vinod Kartavya, ಯಾರ್ಯಾರ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಕೇಳಿದಾರೋ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. And this is a city of activists and active citizenry. But let me just try and get those 5 numbers out for you. Become water literate. Let us really understand what is the situation with water in Bangalore. What happens, where does our water come from, where does it go, and how we should be responsible for it. Water literacy. Be mindful. Be careful whenever you're using water. Use it conservatively. Don't waste it. ಪೋಲಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಬಿಡಬೇಡಿ. ಅಕ್ಕಪಕ್ಕ ಮನೆಯವ್ರಿಗೂ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಪೋಲಾಗದಿರೋ ಹಾಗೆ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಮೂರನೇದು, install these water aerators and water conserving devices in your home. Make sure that your children are taught about it. ನಾಲ್ಕನೇದು, do rainwater harvesting. Make sure that you do it and support rainwater harvesting in a school or in a park or some other place. 5th one, take care of your lakes. If we take care of our lakes, the lakes will take care of ourselves. Apo rakshati rakshitaha. Those who take care of water, water will take care of you. Keep that slogan in mind and work along those lines. And I don't have to talk down to any one of you. You guys, you people are doing wonderful work. Keep up that wonderful work. It's only because of these interested citizenry that Bangalore is surviving to the state it is. So more power to your elbows.
Thank you, sir. And this recording will be, circulated. So it is for everybody who's interested also. So thank you for that. I think on that note, we are right on time. Thank you so much for your time. if there's anything, we will definitely reach out to you in the coming months so that, we're all empowered with the being water literate. That I think this is the first thing that we have to do today and going forward, and we'll let everybody know that. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Dhanyavada. On that note, I think we can close this.
Namaskara, Arshita. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, whoever joined. Thank you.